2014 legislative session starts today in Raleigh on Jones Street. Let's go there now, live from the legislative building. Representative Brian Brown, who represents the 9th District here in Eastern North Carolina. Good morning, Representative Brown. How are you?
Good morning, Henry. I'm good. How about yourself?
I understand you're on a tight schedule, and we're running late, and I apologize. So just let
you're fine.
When you got to go, just yell, and we'll let you go. Great to talk to you. It's an exciting day. What time do these sessions convene today?
Session actually kicks off at noon today. So, but there's a few things going on before that. There's some committee work that'll take place. The House will do our press conference at 10:30 this morning. We'll roll out our legislative agenda for the short session. So it'll be a busy morning.
And of course, the teacher raises is what everybody's talking about. And the governor's budget, is it out yet? I guess it was either coming out last night or coming out this morning.
The governor will actually roll his budget out at 1 o'clock today.
Okay.
So it'll be publicly announced today at 1. So we're excited to get that and start to dive into it.
And he's been saying 2% increase in there for school teachers across the board, veteran school teachers, and of course we already know what he's planning for new school teachers. No one will make less than $35,000 to start, and then $1,000 is what we're hearing per employee. All government workers, and that's going to be upwards of $250 million if those numbers are accurate. Where's he going to get that money?
Well, I think that's yet to be determined. We will work through the process to figure those things out. We feel pretty confident that his budget has laid that out pretty clearly. So, again, I'm very excited to see that budget and kind of work through those things. Of course, as it goes to the Senate, then over to the House, there'll be modifications, as you can imagine. But I think the overall consensus here in the General Assembly is that we have to give teachers and state employees a pay raise and protect those jobs and protect those talented individuals. So, you will see that come out of here. And there's a lot of discussion regarding the potential shortfall in revenues that from the projection side. I don't think that's an enormous fear from our perspective. We've done a really good job in strengthening our government and really making it more efficient with a lot of cost savings across the board. So I think that, although revenues may be a little short, our government's a little bit leaner here in North Carolina, so it should balance out, and we should have a really strong budget tweaks here in the short session.
The general concern, I think, of course, in full disclosure, being on the Board of Governors, I have to say there's a real concern across college campuses in the state, particularly here at East Carolina, about more cuts. It just seems like the legislature and even the governor and Art Pope, the budget director, have looked at the university system every time they're needed a few extra $1 million here and there. And I know you have been at ground zero on trying to protect funding for the ECU School of Medicine. What are your thoughts about that as we enter this session? Is there more rocky water ahead for universities, and particularly as it relates to East Carolina?
Well, I think that, whenever you look at these type of budget things, it's always a low-hanging fruit. And historically, that's where, they try to go and make those cuts. I think that it's certainly something that's on the table, is looking at ECU itself. We've really tried to do our very best of looking forward, trying to figure out what might be on the table for us to look at before it even gets put on the table, to try to defer some of those things and make sure that we're not having to deal with them here in the short session. Of course, the UPL and SOCTA continues to be the large conversation piece that we're trying to work through at the moment. I think we've solved that UPL piece and are now trying to work through the SOCTA component. We will certainly bring it back out of the House to try to restore some of that fundamental funding for East Carolina University's Brody School of Medicine. It's an essential component to their overall budget and means a great deal to our region. So we'll work very hard to try to restore those and start to have those difficult conversations with some of our counterparts who just believe that it's bad policy.
We had the governor in town yesterday. You were here for his press conference. I had an opportunity to meet the chancellor at ECU, and I had a chance to meet along with some other folks with the governor yesterday. I think we're finally making the sale, Brian, to some of the leadership in Raleigh that didn't understand the difference between the Brody School of Medicine and the UNC School of Medicine, because in Chapel Hill, they own the hospital. The university owns the hospital and the medical school. Here, it's much different, and the funding mechanism for the med school here, we have to depend on the legislature to come through.
That's right. And very different. Not only do we not own our own hospital, but we have a really great public-private partnership with our hospital that's very different than any other place in the state. That's very significant. It means a whole lot to our Brody School of Medicine. Making leadership to fully understand what takes place over in our region has certainly been a task. But like you said, I think that they're really starting to see the differences, but not only the differences, but the value that the Brody School of Medicine brings to our state and to our region, with educating primary care physicians, putting them out in the field and keeping them right here at home. So that investment that our taxpayers make in them is staying right here in our own backyard. And
I would have to say that the governor was very supportive of that yesterday, and with a little arm twisting, so has Art Pope been after we have helped him understand some of the things. I know you're going to have to leave here in a minute or so. What's on your agenda? What do you want to accomplish in this legislative session?
Well, like everyone else, we want to look at not just teacher pay, but I'd like to really look at the state employee side. I say it all the time, but our state troopers have been out working. We have state troopers out in the field that's been there 6 years, still making $30,000 a year, putting their lives on the line every day. We want to make sure that we protect those guys as well. From a local perspective, there's a couple local things that we really want to kind of deal with. Southwest Bypass is definitely on the legislative agenda for myself, and really just looking at protecting funding for ECU and really starting to push forward with very good return on our investment, which is our community college system, and strengthening PCC and making sure that their fundamental revenue streams are protected and grown.
Brian Brown at the legislature this morning. I know you got to go to a meeting. You've been heavily involved in that. I had some other questions, but we'll hold them for another time, and I'll let you go and get to your committee meeting this morning. Thank you, Brian.